Hey everyone, Mr. Gray3IS here, and I'm back with another video. I hope everyone is doing great. Hope everyone is doing well. As you can tell from my shadow right there, I'm using my gimbal for this video, so it should be nice and smooth. And in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to paint your body kit or ground effects kit, so your side skirts, front lip, rear diffuser, really anything. You can use this method to also paint body parts, but specifically what I'm going to be painting in this video is a new front lip, because if you're following me around on Instagram, you might have been able to tell that I unfortunately broke my front lip right there. I hit a decent sized rock. It was kind of like the size of my fist, and there's not much avoiding I could have done, so it kind of just took a chunk out of the front. That's one of the reasons I'm painting a front lip, but it's always a good idea to have an extra laying around if you're this low. So in this video, I'm going to take you through all the steps to properly paint something, but in this case, it'll be a front lip. You can use this method to paint it green, blue, black, white. In my case, I'm going to be paint matching it to my car. So I'll show you the supplies that I use for that and where I get that paint from. But other than that, let's get started. All right, so the first step is going to be sanding it with 400 grit sandpaper. As always, I'll have everything linked in the description. The pack of sandpaper I have, the lip. This one, as you can tell, comes in gloss black. This is the lip that I've been using on my car, and pretty much what I do is sand it down and paint match it. But I did recently find a version of the same lip that is already in a primed finish. This is from a different seller than the one that sells the lip that I've been using. So I'm also going to paint this one in this video, and it looks virtually the same. So I'm going to do both just in case it is different, but it looks like it should be perfectly fine. That unpainted one should be a little easier since it's pretty much scuffed up because it's not painted, it's bare plastic. But this one, you pretty much just want to roughen up the best you can. What I recommend doing is ripping your sandpaper into a smaller piece, and we're gonna pretty much wet sand it. So to do that, you get a little bit of water and you get some sandpaper. I'm gonna fold this into an even smaller piece, and we're gonna go ahead and wet it and just start sanding away. Right away, you will notice that it's going to get like hazy, and you'll see this milkiness kind of coming off, this milky looking water. That's the clear coat that they put on it coming off. So you evidently want to go like this over the whole thing. Every part of it that you see shiny, you want to do this until it is this rough finish. And once it is rough, we can move to the next step. Alright, so here's a good way to kind of check it out. There's kind of low light here, I'm sorry, but as you can tell, it's almost like a matte finish now. And then compared to this part here where I haven't sanded, it's very glossy. You want everything to look like this matte finish. So if you hold it in the light and you see some gloss, just sand it more until it's all this rough matte finish. All right guys, it's looking good. Nice and matte looking, all scuffed up. Don't see any shiny parts left. I mean, keep in mind, the most important part to achieving a good paint job is the prep work. So take your time on this, don't rush it. This is the most important part. So in my case, I have 3 more pieces because it's a 3-piece lip. So I'm going to go ahead and do this to the rest of the pieces times 2 because I have 2 lips that I'm painting. So do as much as you need with sanding, and I will get back to you when I am done with this step. As I finish sanding the last piece of the last lip, and after further inspection, there's this writing on the bottom that is identical to the lip that is painted gloss black. This is the one that was the bare plastic. So they seem to be the exact same lip, which is great because that means they'll fit the same. So pretty much if you want a gloss black lip, go ahead and buy the one. I'll link in the description, label gloss black. But if you're planning on painting the lip a different color besides gloss black, 100% get this one. This took me like 30 seconds to sand because all you have to do is scuff it up because it's already bare plastic. You never want to paint anything smooth. This lip is $50 and the gloss black one is about $90. So this is like almost half the price for the same lip. And I've been buying the gloss black one and sanding it but this is actually the same one, just already sanded pretty much. So I now know that I will buy this one from here on out, but I went ahead and bit the bullet for you guys and figured it out on my own. So I'll link this one in the description, labeled Bare Plastic Lip or something along those lines. And this is the one you want to get if you want to paint it like I'm about to do. Alright guys, I set up all of the parts of the lip so I can paint them. I had to be a little creative with it because I am painting 2 front lips at the same time. I usually only do 1, and this little segment of board right here is usually more than enough. But I had to add a couple little parts, and it should be totally fine. This is the one that wasn't painted, and then here's the other part of it, and then this one that were painted, as you can kind of tell. So once you guys have all of your pieces set up as you would like, we're going to do one last final wipe down before the primer stage. You can use isopropyl alcohol mixed with water or just isopropyl alcohol. I'm just going to be using the pure alcohol. So I'm gonna take a paper towel right here, take some alcohol, put it on the paper towel. Oh, there it goes, it dripped. And right here I have my paper towel with alcohol, and you're just gonna wipe down everything. If you touch it and it looks wet like that, that's great. You've wiped it enough. So from here, after you wipe everything, I'm going to show you what I'm going to use for my primer. All right, so the primer I'm going to be using is from Touch Up Direct, and I really enjoy this primer. This primer is made for originally touching up parts of your car that you might have damaged and you're trying to repaint. This primer will adhere to plastics and metals, and you don't have to worry about an adhesion promoter. That is something that messes up a lot of paint jobs when painting something plastic, because sometimes the primer just does not adhere to the plastic. And this does not have that issue, so I absolutely love this primer and have been using it for a while and definitely recommend it. It is also fairly inexpensive compared to other automotive type primers. This, along with everything else, I will leave in the description. The paint I use is from Touch Up Direct as well. That's where I originally found out about this primer. And this is a color coat, so this is, you can kind of tell, this is the color of my car, Nebula Gray Pearl, the exact Lexus paint match color. And this is about $37 a can, which is a little pricey if you think about it compared to other paint colors, but this is an OEM paint, and that is fairly inexpensive if you compare it to if you were to take it to a shop to get it painted. So this is not too bad. And last but definitely not least is this Spray Max 2K clear coat. This clear coat is amazing. I used it for the first time when painting my side skirts not too long ago, and this little red cap here is what differs it from the rest. You push this cap into the bottom right there, right before you're about to paint, and it releases a hardener. This hardener allows for not only the paint to be super glossy and smooth, but the paint cures and the clear coat dries very quickly and is, well, pretty hard. Lots of other clear coats almost act as like a thick glue over the surface of your paint, and they deteriorate over time and take a long time to harden and dry. But this dries super quickly, and it will be automotive grade clear coat. And this is pretty much the best clear coat you can get out of a can. This is a little pricey. It's about $26 a can. It is cheaper the more cans you buy together. But I highly recommend this, and I'm about to use it for the second time ever when painting these front lips. One thing about this that you definitely have to be careful with is it is extremely toxic. You should wear eye and lung protection when painting in general, but especially with this clear coat, you should definitely wear lung protection. This is the Breath Buddy, and I used this when I painted my side skirts and used that clear coat. And not only does this protect your lungs, but it's kind of nice not smelling the paint fumes as you're painting. It's very weird to see the paint coming out of the can and you not smell the paint whatsoever. It's kind of interesting, so I'll definitely leave this in the description, and I highly recommend this for painting in general, and I will definitely use this whether I'm using that clear coat or not in the future. I'll also be using some eye protection and some gloves. The last thing I recommend before starting to paint is using a tack cloth or maybe compressed air to dust off any maybe remaining dust that could be on the surface of your parts. In my case, I'm going to be using compressed air, and I'm actually going to be using a electric compressed air gun. It's kind of cool. So I'm going to clean them off one more time with this compressed air gun, and then we can get to priming. And one more tip when it comes to painting, make sure your climate is correct. You don't always want to paint in every temperature and every humidity. It's ideal to have the temperature about 50 to 70 degrees and below 30% humidity. So thankfully today does correlate with those requirements, and we're good to start priming. So to start, what we're going to do with the primer is you want to do a dust coat. So you definitely still want to see some of the black underneath the primer with this first go around. This, like the coat is called, is a dust coat. So you're just dusting it onto there, and that way the primer adheres to this correctly. And then for your next coats, your primer will adhere to the primer correctly. So I'll prop the camera up and show you how I'm going to do these dust coats. All right, so I do still have my face mask on, so it might be a little hard to hear me, but as you can tell, it is just a light dusting. Nothing crazy. We can start laying on some layers on the next coat, but it is just a slight dusting. It doesn't have to be anything too crazy with coverage. All right, and I am about to start on the second coat, which is just a little heavier, trying to get a little more coverage. And I'm pretty much going to be doing 3 total coats after this dust coat, so 3 heavier coats, and allow 10 minutes to dry between each of them. As you can tell, there is slightly more coverage on it. And we're pretty much going to do this until it piles up and you can't see any more of the original black color underneath. All right, that was the last coat of primer. I let these sit for about 30-40 minutes to completely dry because our next step is sanding. But as you can tell, they are already pretty smooth. There's full coverage. This is exactly what you want. I think one can was literally exactly perfect for all of these pieces. Next up, we're going to be using 600 grit sandpaper and lightly going over the areas that we're going to paint, so all of it. And what this is going to do is smooth down the primer a little bit if there's any rough areas, so that way when the paint is sprayed onto there and the clear coat, it is super smooth and it will help eliminate any roughness or possible orange peel. Definitely be careful with the dry sandpaper on any corners or edges, and take your time, take it easy. Don't go any finer than 600 grit because you still want the primer to have some sort of roughness to it so the paint can adhere to something. I made the mistake once of going up to like 1200 grit on primer. Because it was such a smooth glossy surface, the paint did not want to stick to it whatsoever. So definitely don't go any higher than 600 grit. They were surprisingly pretty smooth already. There were a couple spots with a little bit of roughness. I went ahead and knocked them down with the sandpaper. Didn't have to do too much. Next step is I'm going to blow it off one more time with my electric blower, and I'm going to wipe it down with a wet cloth, wet with water, not isopropyl alcohol, because I don't want to strip away any of this primer. It probably won't, but it's a good idea just to use water. And after we go ahead and blow them off and wipe them down, we're good to start painting. They're all wiped off. And next is the color coat. Similarly to the primer, we're going to start with a very light dust coat and then lay on the heavier coats. I think I'm going to do about 2 to 3 coats of color, just like the primer, after the dust coat, and I'll know I'm done when I have full coverage and I won't see any more gray. Oh, it's looking good. All right, let me get a flashlight on it. Ooh-wee. Looking nice, looking nice. I am going to wait for this to dry for about 30 minutes. That was the last coat of paint. So as you can see, it's my car's color. It's kind of like a matte-ish finish because it has no clear coat on it. And after 30 minutes, we'll start with the clear coat process. And that process takes about 30 minutes too. So I'll catch y'all in just a second for you guys. The paint is all dry. It's been about 35 minutes. I recommend waiting at least 30 minutes before you move to the clear coat. But what we're gonna do with this is we're gonna go ahead and shake it for 2 minutes. All right, it is all shaken up, and then next you're gonna take off this red cap out of here and take it and aim it onto the bottom and go ahead and push it onto there. Kind of hard. There you go. Hear that little click that just happened, and you'll feel it. This pushes into here, and what that does is release the hardener. So you can leave that on there, take it off, and shake it for another 2 minutes. Okay, that was a workout. After the 4 minutes of shaking, you're ready to apply. So you're going to start with the dust coat. Similarly to the paint and primer, this is especially important with clear coat because it will run and drip and all that if you don't do a dust coat. So start with a very light dust coat, and then you can do your heavier coats. You need about 2 to 3 coats of this, and wait about 5 to 10 minutes between coats. And after it's done, you should be ready to sand it. You can polish it within 24 hours of applying it. All right, and like I said earlier, after that dust coat has dried, you can go ahead and lay on your first wet coat. Don't go too heavy because you don't want to get any drips. Oh my gosh, yeah, it is looking really good. Pretty good for a garage paint job. Look at that. Oh yeah. There's obviously a little bit of orange peel if we can look right here. I'll get a better angle on the other side, but overall it's pretty dang good. It'll look even better once it's out in the sun and installed on the car, but yeah, here you go. Here's an angle. There's a little bit of orange peel. Nothing insane. It'll look a little better as it dries more, but once you've done these coats of clear, I did 1 dust coat and 2 heavy coats. That's all I could get out of that 1 can. The next step is to let it dry. It's up to you for how long you want to let it dry. Just let it dry for at least 24 hours. But yeah, once you let it dry for 24 hours, you can do whatever you'd like with it. I'm definitely going to, like with everything, ceramic coat it before I put it on my car. And it's as easy as that. It's not that intimidating to paint stuff yourself, especially if you're going with a paint matched route. It can get expensive if you have a shop do it over and over again, especially when you're as low as me and you're breaking lips every few months or so. It's cheaper to do it yourself. So let's hope, fingers crossed, that I don't break another lip here soon. And if I do break a part of my new lip that I'm going to put on there. I guess I got a couple other parts that I could exchange it with. That's the cool part about 3-piece lips is, let's say I take a chunk out of here like I did on my car right now, I can just exchange out this middle part. But to install this, it's pretty simple if you don't already have a front lip or any ground effects of any sort. I will make a video here in the near future about how to install a front lip. It, like painting, isn't as hard as it might seem, but if you have any questions about any process or anything in this video, please leave it in the comments below. I'll be sure to answer it. If you haven't already, feel free to check out my Instagram at gray_3is. Shoot me a DM on there if you want to talk one-on-one, if you just want to chat, if you just want to say hi. I'm always on there, so feel free to say what's up. If you're new to my channel, thank you for checking this video out. Feel free to scroll back and check out some of my older videos on my channel. Speaking of an older video, my best first modifications video that I filmed a little while back reached 40,000 views. It's actually at 41,000 right now. This is mind-blowing to me. When I look around on YouTube and I see someone's video with like 20, 30, 40,000 views, I'm like, whoa, it's just insane. And to think that one of mine has that many views is crazy. So thank you everyone for supporting me. I really appreciate all of your support. We are almost at 1,800 subscribers. That is so close to 2,000 subscribers, all on YouTube, all thanks to you guys. So I truly appreciate it. It means the world to me. None of this would be possible without the support of you guys. So thank you so much. And soon I will have this front lip fixed. Thankfully, it's a little bit of an eyesore, but I do have the carbon fiber to distract the eyes away from that. Other than that, this has been Mr. Gray 3IS. I hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Walking